Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Brought to you by Junk Be Gone and the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source. Always appreciate you being with us on these beautiful spring mornings. Actually, it's almost summer, but spring, I guess, still. Thanks for being with us. We've got a lot to talk about, tied into Tennessee football, the draft, how they flamed out in the draft, how low their talent level is. We chart this since the show started, really, and over the last 3 decades, they're kind of at an all-time low for NFL talent. We'll break that down and show you what we're talking about. How long will it take them to get some talent back in here? And then also a little bit of basketball at the end. A lot of people giving their national views on what this team's going to do. The year ahead is going to be better, going to be worse. We'll debate that. Let's go ahead and just get started with this first segment. It's brought to you by our friends at Junk Be Gone. And I'm always talking about these folks in relation to what they can do for your home. Right now, there's a dumpster in front of my house from Junk Be Gone. I always use them. But there are lots of area businesses who use them for their junk removal, paper shredding, and more. Daniel Hood Roofing Systems on our show. They keep a Junk Be Gone bin on all their job sites and love them. There are a lot of companies that use these guys. It's not just for your home use. So if you're a local business owner, get in touch with Junk Be Gone, see what they can do for you, whether it's shredding, junk removal, get it rid of office furniture. They handle it all. JunkBeGone.biz to learn more about this fantastic locally owned business. All right, let's welcome in the first group that we have on the panel today. We have from WNML AM and FM right here, Josh Ward. Josh, thanks.
Thank you, John.
Also from WNML right there, Vince Ferrara. And Vince, you've been calling the Vols games, won the series against Kentucky. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Has to be fun to call a team that's doing this well.
It's quite different than the norm. Just covering anything around here.
And down there, longtime sports writer and Vikings fan Bob Hodge, wearing purple shirt, got your Vikings mug. Thanks for being here.
Which is just coincidental.
Sure
just happened to be what was clean.
Thanks for being here, guys. Not a great day for the Volunteers in the NFL draft yesterday. Let's take a look. That's a short list. This shouldn't take us long in this segment to cover. You had Josh Palmer go in the 3rd round, pick 77 to the LA Chargers. A good spot for him, especially when you look at the production in college. I think the pro scouts looked at it and said, okay, he's been hampered by what's around him. He would do better with better quarterback play. But then the one that really caught everyone around here's eye was Trey Smith. And it didn't get a lot of national reaction that, oh my gosh, how's he still available? Even down there when he was drafted, there were still 2 or 3 guys that were listed ahead of him on some of the sites as best available. Mm-hmm. So, and we'll debate this, but we looked at him one way. I think the national people looked at him a little bit differently. But 6th round is just, it was a horror show for him to drop all the way down there, pick 226 with the Kansas City Chiefs. First UT offensive lineman drafted since 2014.
Incredible.
Wow.
That is hard to fathom. And then we always, every year, even when the Vols don't have a lot of guys drafted, they have a lot of undrafted free agents that sign. So we always do a whiteboard with all the names on it. I didn't need much. I didn't need a full whiteboard. I could have done it on an index card. Bryce Thompson signed with the Saints. If anybody else has signed today, none of us have seen it. So you can text Josh or Vince. But you look at it, 3 guys. That's it. 2 drafted, 1 undrafted free agent signs. Not a great showing for Tennessee when you've had, now he was only here 3 years, but you had a lot of talk of how Jeremy Pruitt was building up the talent level, and I've heard that for 3 years. Didn't see it in the results yesterday.
And one of those guys that was drafted wasn't even a Jeremy Pruitt guy, Trey Smith. Came with Butch Jones, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
if my
same
memory
with Palmer.
serves me
Yeah, Palmer
correctly.
was also. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think that speaks to 3 and 7. I mean, does it not? I mean, that you don't have enough talent to even make much of a ripple in the NFL draft right now. What, Alabama had 10 guys drafted, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
6 in the first round.
So you sit there and you talk about your talent gap. Well, 10 to 2, that's a pretty dadgum big talent gap. And the fact that you were also down there in the numbers with the other people in the SEC that weren't very good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look at Kentucky, how many guys they had drafted compared to you.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
exactly.
a reason they whipped your tail.
It does. It's a gauge. As we always talk about recruiting, It's not a GPS, it's a roadmap. Well, I think you can say the same thing about the NFL draft. It's not a GPS, but it does give you a good.
Yeah, I don't even say it's a roadmap. I say it's a compass. I just think it's kind of. What do you think about where these guys landed? Josh Palmer with the Chargers.
I think it's a great spot. Now, I was a little unsure that he would go to the Chargers because the Chargers need somebody with speed down, on go routes that can, open up the defense and blow the
Take
top
the top
off
off the defense.
Yeah, and he doesn't fit that bill. He's a little bit closer to what they have now in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But those are really their only established guys. Now, they're two high-level guys. Williams may not come back. And then the other guys, 20, 28 catches. So he has an opportunity to make that team and I think maybe be second team in early rotation from the jump. So I think that's a really good spot. Oh, by the way, he's got a great young quarterback to throw him the football, which he had nothing like that. I mean, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions last year for Herbert. That will make him better. And that hurt Palmer a little bit. I talked to a scout that was like, wow. Teams looking at the tape at that quarterback position, what he had to throw with. So the people around guys, it impacts them. I think for him, it was a great spot.
We'll get back to Trey Smith. What do you about the landing spot with Bryce Thompson to the Saints?
Well, it worked out a year ago for Marquez Callaway to go there. And we've talked the last few years about Sean Payton, the head coach of the Saints, taking a liking to Tennessee guys, about Alvin Kamara. So Thompson's a guy that he would be one of those players we talked about that Jeremy Pruitt brought in, had talent, had off-field questions. I'm sure that affected him through the draft status, through his draft status. But he could play corner, could play safety, can move around on the defensive side. He was an early entry, so he's a younger player. I think Bryce can make it in the NFL.
He was projected 5th or 6th round. I was a little surprised that he went all the way through the draft and wasn't picked.
There are plenty of teams that didn't have him on their board at all. And the ones that did, I think they liked his versatility. He was productive and had some game experience. The great thing about him is similar to, you guys mentioned Callaway, Shai Tuttle. Those worked out great for the Saints because there wasn't a lot at those positions. There's opportunities to play. He's one of only 7 cornerbacks there. And one of them was an undrafted free agent, another one they drafted. So there's a great shot for him to make that team from the get.
Bob, we're going to talk about what UCF put in the pros yesterday, but you look at what happened with Bryce Thompson. You have no way of knowing this when he announced he was leaving, but you wonder if he wouldn't have been better off coming back for a seat. Now, if he had people who were saying we're not going to put you on our draft board because of what happened in high school and the threats you made in college a couple of years ago, which there are guys with worse track records that get drafted, so I'm surprised he wasn't on some draft boards. But if he comes back, perhaps he plays himself into a drafted role at least. Now, you may be better off picking your spot, signing where you want, but Bob, I just wonder if he made a mistake in leaving early.
I think he did, and to the point about how much were the incidents in high school and then the incident a couple of years ago held against him. Okay, if teams are holding that against you, another year's not going to make any difference unless you come out and play like you're a superstar.
Yeah.
And how much of when you're sitting there watching him on tape and you've got other guys, as you said, other guys affect other guys.
Right.
Well, that defense last year wasn't very good. A lot of people out of position. How much did that pull him off his assignment thinking, oh my gosh, we've got something over here that wasn't expected? But getting back to the issues that he had, I mean, right now, in this day and age, those aren't going to go away. And I think another year for the teams that said no Bryce Thompson, I don't think it would have made much of a difference unless he was a superstar.
Or would somebody
then
look at it
suddenly
and
you
say,
do kind of go, well.
You're now 3 years removed from the threat incident. Again, though, there were guys drafted in this draft who have more questionable background than this. I just wonder, I think you're hitting on it. If you'd been a superstar, you're probably going to be on somebody's draft board that might have removed
worth
you.
the risk that they see. He's also in a weird time where come back to play for who? Because he didn't know exactly what was going to happen at Tennessee.
But it did surprise me he wasn't drafted. I thought he would get drafted.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's talk about the Trey Smith situation next when we come back. What happened, why he fell, what it was a product of, and then also where he landed. How does he look with the Kansas City Chiefs? Landed with a good team. What are they getting in Trey Smith? Come on back on the Sports Source.